And we're back with more IGN Live at E3 2019. Fans of the Zombie Army trilogy have shot a lot of undead Nazis in the face, but apparently they missed a few because it's getting a sequel. Here to talk about Zombie Army 4 Dead War, please welcome IGN's Jameson Whiskey Duggan, they're getting a little lazy now, and lead designer Ryan Baker with exclusive gameplay of Zombie Army 4 Dead War. Welcome to the IGN stage.
Hi, thank you.
Congrats, this was just announced earlier today at the PC Gaming Show.
Yes, it was.
So what do the fans need to know about Dead War?
So Zombie Army 4 Dead War is a third-person cooperative shooter, and it's leaning heavily into its 80s horror movie sort of vibe that we have in the previous games.
That's my vibe.
So Zombie Army has always been kind of an extension in a way of Sniper Elite. It's kind of followed them. Are we going to see those excellent X-ray kills and slow-mo things?
Yes, yep. So we've still got the X-ray kills, and we've built upon those. So you'll be getting, as well as the slow-motion X-ray from your bullets, you'll also get the chance to see some dismemberment kills instead. So rather than seeing perhaps just the bone explode, you'll see an arm being ripped off or a head bursting, and we can really up the levels of gore when you're dealing with zombies, which is great. And we've also got, in addition to that, the explosive slow-mo kills as well. So if you lay a trap in a particularly good place where a bunch of zombies are walking over you and you manage to kill a lot of them, you'll get a nice cinematic cut of lots of them being decimated by that explosion, which is really satisfying.
Well, so where did the idea for it originally come from? Was it just like, it'd be nice if we could make them, it's like the slow-motion kills are gory, it'd be nice if we could make them even gorier.
And that's the thing, yeah, I think because you can go to that extra level when it is the zombies, and you can get that. There's more fun to be had with it when it's zombies and not real soldiers. And it started off as something that we just really wanted to do as a studio back in when we did the first spin-off in 2013 from Sniper Elite V2, and it was an overnight success. It's gone on to sell 4 million copies, so the fans are really enjoying it, and we have a lot of fun making it.
So we're seeing some of the first gameplay for the first time here. Set the stage, talk us through what's happening.
So right here, you're in one of the safe rooms, so you'll be generally working from safe room to safe room. Here we're in our first level. We've skipped over some of the first section to get you closer to the action. And this is one of the workbenches. So you can go into the workbench, and this shows off right now one of the large areas where we've really improved upon and added a lot more. So there's a lot of player progression. Right now, you're going through the weapon upgrades. So there's various different upgrades for all the weapons, and they add on a lot of things because this is a nice alternate history. We can go further with all the sort of upgrades than you would in a traditional sort of World War II realistic way. So we've got attachments that will make your shots electric, which will stun the zombies, burst their heads, and if you upgrade it further, you'll send arcs out to nearby zombies, which will knock them to the floor, giving you a bit of time to either fall back or running close and stomp on them and make sure they don't get back up. In addition to that, there's also a lot of perks that are available to unlock as you rank up, and we've also got special attacks and just a lot of stuff to keep you going that will unlock throughout the game and give you new ways to make your way through the zombie horde. So you can see here the zombies have crashed into our train station in Milan, and everything's going to start kicking off.
Can't wait for that first X-ray kill. And there it is!
There we go, straight away, first shot. That's impressive.
Did I see one holding a melee weapon there? Was that what that
So
was?
yes, so they'll hold various melee weapons. Sometimes they could be, they're just zombies, so they pick up whatever they can, and they'll start off with things like an axe, or it might even be just a bone from a skeleton, whatever they've got to try and bludgeon you with. And you can, with there's full dismemberment in there, so if you take off their arms, they'll drop that weapon. That whole arm will be gone, so then they're back to just sort of their more limited range of swiping at you with their other arm.
So the playing this game both in a single-player and multiplayer capacity, single-player always felt a little bit slower paced to me. It felt more methodical, but multiplayer just seems like absolutely guns blazing. Is that still the case?
And that's very much still the case. You play with 4 people. There's 4 guns going off all at the same time, and you've got your items you're throwing around, and it's a lot more action-packed and frantic when you're doing it that way. And you can also, you don't have to worry so much if you do get knocked down by the horde, because you've got your friends there to come and try and help you, get you back up on your feet. Whereas when you're on your own, it's much more of a horror feel to it, because you are alone and you're against that horde, and you get backed into a corner and you know you've got no one else to save you. So it's really can be really stressful at some points, but it's super exciting when you use one of your special attacks to burst your way through the horde, and you can just about escape with your life.
There's one there.
And there we go, that was our electric punch, so that charges up every now and then. You can punch a zombie and send them flying back into distance, bursting their heads.
Correct me if I'm mistaken, but I believe we are witnessing some kind of ultimate.
So yes, that's right. So each of our classes of weapons, so you've got your rifles, your secondary weapons, and your pistols. If you get, if you reach a number of kills with those, then you'll unlock the weapon assist, which means when you trigger it, you'll perform that ability, which for that one, which was the secondary weapon, it brings down your accuracy, so it makes it really tight, reduces your recoil, and in solo play it will also slow down the time a bit and give you that extra bit of time to pull off all those headshots that you really need. You've got your pistols, which hopefully you'll see shortly. You can paint a number of targets. When you pull the trigger, you automatically get headshots on those zombies. So these are really useful abilities when you're getting stuck in that corner and you feel like everything's lost, and you suddenly pull out one of those. It brings you back into the game.
Are you continuing the story from the trilogy here?
So yes, this is set about a year after the events of the last game, where our heroes banished Hitler back to hell. Zombies are still around, but they didn't have as much purpose. But they've started to become a bit more coordinated over recent time, and you're investigating what that is. And as the narrative carries on, you'll find out the reasons why the zombies are becoming a bit more intelligent again and have a bit more focus.
So with previous, the Zombie Army trilogy felt very much like, hey, let's take Sniper Elite and let's put it in the zombie universe. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this looks much more built out in terms of the custom UI, the abilities. Are there things like classes and some light RPG elements there?
So we've got the light RPG elements but it's only for your your perks and everything like that. So you can customize your character with the different perks, and all characters have access to all the weapons, all the perks. We're not currently going into details about the classes and stuff like that and what we're going to be doing there. But you will be able to customize your character to play how you want them to play. So if you want to be more of a combat medic, or you want to be more focused on traps, then you can go that way.
Wonderful. Well, talk to me about the enemy variety. So I've seen, obviously, zombies. We can expect those. But there is, in the previous Zombie Army games, we kind of had like the Necromancer dude, Flame Unit. Are those going to make a return? Are we going to see any new exciting zombie archetypes?
So yeah, we've got several of our enemies have come back. If we get far enough through this, you might see a couple of returning enemy characters, but we've expanded our cast of enemies quite a bit through this game, and there's a lot of very, very interesting enemy types there that will make you have to stop and think about what you're going to do. You're not going to be able to just plow through. And you may have seen in our trailer, we have the Heavy Flamer, who's a variant of our Super Elite we had in the Zombie Army trilogy games. And he's got a huge flamethrower. Luckily, he's got a weak point on his back, because he takes a hell of a lot of damage if you try and shoot him in his body. So if you shoot the fuel tank enough, then you can make it explode, knocking him down relatively quickly, still taking a lot more damage than the normal zombie grunts. But the best thing about him is once you have killed him, you can go up to that flamethrower, pick it up, and then use it to decimate the hordes, which is really satisfying. They're all undead. All those enemies are undead, so you don't have to feel any guilt at all for killing those.
I guess it's good if there's no more alive Nazis. That's a good
so
thing.
yeah, that is a bonus.
Step
It's
in the
a
right
good thing.
direction.
So silver lining in that
Yeah.
universe.
So we've seen this UI pop up on the right here, kind of this Guitar Hero streak. Instead of hitting notes, we're killing Nazis that are already dead. Talk to me about the scoring. Obviously, it's a cooperative game, but is there this competitive, I'm going to get a higher score than you element?
So yeah, we've got so you've got your combo there. That's sort of a returning, slightly modified version from the Zombie Army trilogy. But I think it's similar with all cooperative games. You are working together, but when there's a score involved, you kind of want to be top of that board. You're still going to want to be doing better than your friends. But then at the same time, you need to help your friends up, because if you don't, then you're going to be in trouble.
So the World War II arsenal, the STG-44, the Kar-98K, we've seen these guns. I mean, obviously we can't go back and add new guns to that point in history, but how do you make that arsenal interesting?
So the main thing we've done this time is by adding the upgrades. So because we're in this alternate history, and we can assume they want to modify their weapons to deal with zombies the best they can, we've added all sorts of attachments that most certainly weren't around in World War II, so you can modify them here. I think you can see it on the rifle perhaps. There's the electric attachment, so that will charge up every sort of 30 seconds or so. It will charge up your bullet, and you'll be able to pull off an electric shot first of all, that'll just hit a zombie, stun it a bit, and then his head will pop, so it's a one-hit kill, no matter where you hit them. But then if you upgrade that more, it will send arcs out to other enemies, knocking them down. And we've got flame bullets and stuff like that as well. But also bayonets and all sorts of interesting scopes as well. There's a lot of choice there in the weapon upgrades that make them particularly interesting and different to what we've used to before.
So this is the blood seal.
So yes, that is right. That's the blood seal. So that blocks your path in places, and you have to clear the area of all the undead, and then you can move on. These are our loot crates, so they'll have randomized items. So there's all the supplies in there. So it's got your grenades, it's got your traps in there, and then you want to pick those up and try and make the most use of those. This is one of our traps. They are absolutely great. This is stuff set up by the resistance fighters. They've been dealing with the zombies since Hitler brought them back to life, and they're particularly useful for taking out large hordes all in one go. There's several different types throughout the game, but timing them at just the right point is the key thing. Because if you trigger it too early, then you're not going to get the right number of zombies. But get it just right, you can get a huge number, and brings up your multiplier really quickly as well.
I really like the weapon ultimates happening with the various different weapons. I think that's a pretty cool new creative twist on the hero shooter. But let's talk about the randomization of this level. So one of the reasons why Left 4 Dead is so timeless is because the AI directors does such a good job of making the same level feel fresh and new every time. Can we expect additional elements of randomization in Zombie Army?
So yeah, there will be elements of randomization. So for the items you find there, that will change up the way you play, because if you've picked up grenades, that's going to be quite different to if you've picked up traps. And also we have different types of grenades and traps as well. You might get an electric grenade or an incendiary grenade, which will act quite different to each other. But also, yet the enemies as well will randomize the locations that they spawn in, so making your replay vary each time you play through. So if you want to play it more and more and play through again with your friends, then you'll get a slightly different experience each time.
In terms of difficulty, what can we expect? Is there going to be anything that really, really pushes you and your friends to the brink of having to coordinate together?
So, yes, there will be, especially with certain enemy types. Some enemies are going to be particularly difficult to deal with on your own, because we do scale the difficulty on the number of players as well. So if there's 4 of you playing, you can expect something much tougher than if you're on your own. So it really will make you want to not worry about being top of the scoreboard and making sure you work together to make sure you all survive.
You mentioned basically moving from safe room to safe room. Just like a linear-based, like level-based game.
So yes, it's mostly linear. So you always have the one location you want to get to, but throughout, in between the safe rooms, there are some areas that are a bit more open, and you have sort of a couple of different paths to go around, and you have to deal with the zombies in different ways, and you don't always know exactly which direction they're going to be coming from. So it's certainly a linear game, but much more open than the previous Zombie Army games we've had as well in certain locations.
Starting to see a little bit of enemy variance in terms of at least the helmets being shot off from these kind of heavier machine gun stormtroopers there.
Yes.
What is that weird-looking solar panel thing?
So that's another one of our traps. That's our electric floor trap. So if you shoot any of those panels there on most of our traps, there's sort of the spinners there. You shoot one of those, it will power up the trap. You see here, and then electrifies the floor. Any of the zombies there. So that's another one to be careful with timing. And also, you need to be careful that you aren't standing on there as well. Although one of your teammates is there, it's up to you. Depends what kind of co-op player you are.
Bad for him or her.
So there you just saw a takedown. So if you manage to get a 10-kill combo, you can then get up close to one of our zombies and perform a takedown that will put one of those nice and brutal takedown kills, and that also gives you a bit of health, because the med kits excuse me, are fairly rare, so you only mostly get them in the safe rooms. You might find a medic zombie around if you're lucky, but the best way to do it is take that risk, get close, get a combo, and then get close to the zombies and take them out with a takedown and get a little health boost that way.
What's powering the electric punch? Or is it some sort of a glove?
So the electric punch, yeah, it's sort of an electric knuckle duster type thing
gotcha.
that you've got there that takes a bit of time to charge up, but once it's there, you can use it. It's very exciting to use.
And do we have specific character identities that kind of have their own personalities that folks are playing as?
So yes, we've got 4 characters that we're talking about at the moment. We've got Carl Fairburn, who's obviously our Sniper Elite hero, and we've got Boris, who's returning from Zombie Army Trilogy as well. We've also got Jun and Shola, and they each have their own personalities. They'll be talking throughout the game, reacting to the narrative, reacting to what they're doing and the other players are doing as well, so they'll have their own quips, and it really helps bring out their personality and make it interesting to play with your friends when they're reacting to the things that somebody's done. It makes you feel much more involved, and you get a nice sense of their personality, their type of character they are.
So Sniper Elite 4 was very methodical, at least the way I played it. It was all about planning.
Yeah.
With the traps and with what we've seen so far, this seems a lot more fast-paced, reactionary. Do you think that's fair to say?
Yes, I think that's definitely fair. It's generally pretty fast-paced, but if you've got a big horde in the distance, quite often you'll want to plan ahead and put a couple of traps down, because knowing that there's a good chance that they're going to make it towards you, and often you'll be there with your rifle, taking nice pot shots at the distance, where feeling like you're fairly safe, and then slowly they're getting closer to you, and you have to quickly flick to one of your close combat weapons, and it's something that can quickly get pretty frantic. There's not an awful lot of planning and slow time.
So in the lore of this world, like going back to the first zombie army, what's the explanation for what had happened? The Nazis were experimenting and things went wrong?
Yes, so they'd been experimenting and looking for what they could do, what weapons they could use to try and win the war. And then when everything started to go wrong for the Nazis, Hitler panicked and decided to initiate Plan Z before he knew exactly what it was going to do in that war. All the undead Nazis back to life, and initiated the horrible alternate history that we've got here.
I could feel the panic. The guy was playing the demo as he missed two of those shots and it was right in his face.
So this is one of our returning enemies as well. This is the Suicider, who's strapped full of explosives and just runs at you screaming. And it is, even before you see them, you hear them screaming. And that does just induce that panic, which makes you miss those shots sometimes when you're just like, oh, I really need to get this guy before he explodes.
Classic.
It does beg the question, who wrapped him up in dynamite and lit the fuse?
Oh, some other evil Nazi person.
Yeah.
Haven't seen yet, but yeah, it's not particularly nice, but you can understand why they're screaming.
Yeah, for sure.
So in this demo, we've seen a lot of variants in terms of the gameplay. Do you really try and intentionally keep that fresh and new as the campaign goes in and introduce these new elements?
Yes, we definitely try and introduce a lot of things throughout the game. We want to keep new things, whether it's new enemy types, especially with all your new abilities and your upgrades you get, that will be sort of drip-fed throughout the campaign, depending on how well you play as well. And we'll introduce not just new enemies, but new combinations of enemies. So they might be enemies that you fought before, but suddenly you're fighting them in different combinations, which mean you have to treat the situation differently to you have before. And it's and I think we're doing a pretty good job so far, keeping it interesting.
So you just announced the game today. Have you announced a release window?
So it's early 2020.
Early 2020.
Cool. So he's been knocked down here, and this is one of the perks he's got equipped, is the second chance. So this is particularly useful if you're playing solo like that and you get knocked down and you've got nobody else to rely on to come and help revive you. If you manage to kill one of the zombies, then you'll get back up, but that only lasts for one knockdown, so you need to be particularly careful now if you want to get to the end of this demo.
When we're talking about the kind of complete list of skills, how many approximately are we looking at in terms of different playstyles?
We've got quite a lot of skills. We're not going in particular numbers just now, but there's plenty of skills that you can equip that gives us a large number of combinations that you can create if you want to go to different play styles or just try out different combinations. You may want to play one level this way, and then, especially if you're replaying, you go, actually, for this level I want to change things up a bit and try this factor.
Do the different characters act as sort of classes?
So we're not going into any particular details about the class at the moment, but...
Class is confirmed.
Got the scoop. We got just about a minute left. Anything else? What's the feature you're most excited for the Zombie Army fans to enjoy in this game?
I think it's all the variety of ways you can take down the enemies. That's, to me, is the most fun thing. Every different method of taking out the zombies is satisfying in its own way, and particularly visceral. It's really enjoyable, and you can get surprised by zombies like that. A zombie with a bucket on his head as he stumbled out of the closet just there. There's lots of nice little nods in the game that reference our love for the 80s sort of horror movies.
Very cool. Thank you for that exclusive look at Zombie Army 4. Thanks for coming by the IGN set.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
All right, Zombie Army 4 Dead War comes out on PS4, Xbox, and PC early 2020. Sid, what is coming up next?